That's easy. No business is perfect. Every business will have elements that you love and elements that you suck at. A lot of people say, oh, I want to work for myself. When you work for yourself, you don't truly work for yourself, because there's always somebody you're accountable to. If you work for yourself, maybe you've got a client that you've got to deal with. Maybe you've got an investor that you have to deal with. Nobody truly works for themselves. There's good and bad elements to every single business. The other thing I've got is don't give up. But give up when the ship's sinking. Don't give up in the sense that just keep going, have perseverance, have chutzpah, just do it. But if you see the thing is sinking, seek wisdom from other people. It's is this that it's hard, or is it that the ship hit an iceberg? Does the ship have a little hole in it that I can just bail out the water, plug it up and keep going and we can succeed? Or did we hit an iceberg and half the ship is going and I'm still pumping money into a ship that's sinking? If your horse died, get off. Don't put more money into it. It's like that's critical. And you'll only realize that with outside advice, because you'll be so tunnel visioned on your business, what you're doing, you don't see the rest. So you need to have advisors. The Bible says with many advisors, plans succeed. So you need to go and do that. You need to get outside opinion. Say, guys, am I flogging a dead horse? Should I keep putting money into this, or is this the right thing? Don't get rich quick. It's all nonsense. It's true. There's no get rich quick. If you watch TikTok all the time, people tell you, just do this, do this, do this. Most of the time, they're getting rich off you, and it wasn't quick. It's hard. Anything that's hard is worth doing, and it takes time. The Bible says, be wise, be like the ant who stored up stuff in summer, so that in the winter time he had food and things. So there's no get rich quick. It's not biblical. It's not true. It's not real. It's fake. Try and work smarter, not necessarily harder. There's so many people who work really, really hard and are super poor. Working hard is not the key to success. Working smarter is the key. If you analyze what you're doing all the time, saying, how do we do that? How do we do that job? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? What could I do better next time? What's smarter? What could I outsource? What should I do? You need to analyze your time and say, am I making best use of my time? What time am I using that is producing very to little no fruit? What's taking up most of my time? Is it a money earning activity, or is it a activity I could just outsource to somebody else for a tenth of the price? So say, for example, 5% of your time is spent on getting money into the business, but 95% of your time is spent on the admin. Could you outsource that admin and spend 90% of your time getting more money coming in through the door and just outsourcing more and more of the admin? Would that be more cost effective for your time? So you got to start thinking like that. You got to start looking, what am I spending my time on? Is that producing a physical result in terms of money coming through the door? Because you want to do for yourself the stuff that brings in the money and outsource everything else. That's really the aim of the game. Don't always start with the end in mind. Don't start a business and just build by accident. Sort of look into the future 5-10 years and say, well, what do I want to have? What does it want to look like? And then start with the end in mind. In any business, you got to work backwards. You got to say, that's where I want to go. Boom, 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 boom. This is how I get there. This is how many a day. This is what I need to do to get there. I don't get there by accident. It's intentional. Because what happens is you eventually just plod here and you never get there. But you always want to get there, but you don't know how to get there because you never started with there in mind. Make sense? Don't start a brick and mortar business unless you absolutely have to. It comes back to the thing of you're subject to the landlord, or you're subject to the council, or you're subject to a position if you build a brick and mortar business. It's very labor intensive. It's very, very high cost. There's a lot of things outside of your control that you can't control. Starting a business in a mall, for example, not a good idea. You might say, I want to shop. That's really what I want. But the rent could go up 100%. You have no control over it. It could absolutely kill your profit margin. You have no control over it. Rather, don't start a bricks and mortar business if at all possible. Rather try and start something online, or something that's portable, that can be moved. So you're not subject to those outside forces. Try and run your business lean, but just keep your costs down to an absolute minimum and run it like that. Don't, there's feast and famine in business. Sometimes you'll have massive money, sometimes you'll have no money. Bear that in mind and make sure you've kept your expenses as cheap as possible, until you've got to a stage that you scale and you can afford it. Most people live the lifestyle they can't afford all the time, and that's okay if you've got a job and there's money coming in every month. But if you're starting a business, money doesn't always come in every month. There's things that happen, and so you need to live lean. Prove that it's scalable by making no money instead of losing money by scaling and find out it doesn't work. What do I mean by that? So say you wanted to do a product, rather order 100 products and lose money on every one of those hundreds to prove that you can sell those 100 products, then order 1,000 or 10,000, which is the minimum order that would make it profitable, but you can't sell 100. Does that make sense? So rather say I'm going to spend £1,000 trying to sell 100 products, and I know for a fact I will lose money on every single one of the 100. But if I manage to sell the 100 in 2 days, it went out, and then I did another 100 and I did another 100, and suddenly I realized, maybe it cost me $500 loss to prove that I could sell 300 units. Then buy 1,000 next time that you will make money on. Sell the 1,000, then buy 10,000. Now you will start making proper money on the 10,000. But don't start by the economies of scale and say I'm going to board a 10,000 because that's the only way it's going to become profitable. And you find you can't sell 100. You're going to have 9,990 or 9,900 products in your loft or your parents' garage because you couldn't sell the other. It's not wise, guys. You're going to lose a lot of money. Don't build a job, build a business. This is something I've been at fault with that I never realized until now. Like, I'm not looking to create a business that gives me a job. The idea is to create an asset that produces finance for me when I'm not working. That's the goal. If I'm going to start a business, yes, I can start a business and I can have my own job, but I want to work myself out of a job. I want to create a business, not a job. Because I can just get a job anywhere, create a business. That's why a lot of people's businesses don't succeed, because they price it as if they got a job. You don't want to do that either. You want to create a business, not a job. Don't work for money, work for assets. I've talked about that already. Work full-time until you can side hustle full-time. So, say you wanted to start a business, don't just jump in unless God has spoken to you very clearly to jump into the business. Start a side hustle, part-time, in the evenings, in the mornings, in the beginnings, and lunchtime. Be faithful with the job that you've got, but start building stuff in the after hours. And then when eventually that builds so big that it can take over your full-time job, then go full-time. Especially if you have kids and assets and things that you have to look after. It's much wiser. The disclaimer on that, though, is, to be honest, if God's spoken to you and you have a proven track record of hearing God clearly, that's different. Because God ultimately in control. But a lot of people don't have that track record. One of the things I've got here, which I've done for years and it's brilliant, is take as many people out to coffee as you can. Pick some people that that you've seen in your church or environments that are much further than you, much brighter than you, and go say, can I take you for coffee? And I used to feel so embarrassed because I used to think, these guys, they're never going to give me the time of day or whatever. But amazingly enough, most of them that I asked said yes. And I'd go and buy them a cup of coffee, and maybe it cost me a couple of pounds, but I'd pick their brain for half an hour. And I'd say, well, what would you do here? What would you do here? This is what I'm thinking of doing. Tell me what can go wrong. Tell me because it's easy to find people that agree with you. Try and seek out wisdom of why it wouldn't work. I've got this great idea, because I'm an optimist by nature. I see the bigger picture. I don't always see the pitfalls. So I like to sit with people and say, what am I doing wrong? What could go wrong? Tell me. There's wisdom in that. And it costs you £3 and it might save you a £10,000 mistake. It's vital, man. It's critical. Do read competitors' reviews. If you've got a competitor in your business, read all the reviews. Write what people are saying that's good about them. See what people are saying bad about them. Make sure you don't make the same mistake. If there's something that they're not doing right, then your business, make sure you do that. That's your key focus. You do it right, because you've seen, yes, there's been 20% of the reviews that are written say these guys do this really badly. Well, do that the best then, because then You've already beaten the competition. Offer value, because everything you do, you need to offer a little something extra. The word of mouth is the best form of advertising. Rather do a little extra that blows the client away, far exceed their expectation for what they're paying. So if somebody paid you to do X plus Y plus a little bit more, because then they think, yes, this guy came and he did this thing, but then also he did all this. He didn't even charge me for that. That's amazing. What they'll tell their friends will call you. Not that you want to be working for free, but that little 5 minutes that you spent extra will probably get you another 5 customers. Where are you going to spend 5 minutes of your time to get 5 more customers? Each customer might cost you $100 worth of advertising to get a customer. 5 minutes of your time may have earned you £500 of customers. And so just add a little extra value in everything you do, because the word of mouth is by far the best form of advertising. By far. There's no amount of telling customers how good you are. It will never beat somebody saying, yeah, this guy came, he was good. What I used to do in my handyman business, I'd come there on time every time. If we weren't on time, we'd phone. If it was going to be 5 minutes late, I'd phone the customer, say I'm going to be 5 minutes late. And then if we worked for an hour and 10 minutes, I'd charge them for an hour. So look, it's actually an hour and 10. I've done an extra 10 minutes, but I'm just going to charge you an hour. That stuff makes a difference. And people see that and they're like, oh, awesome, we can do that, So, and if you're working in people's homes, if you have a service business and you're actually going to people's homes, realize that their home is a sacred place. Don't walk in there with flippant tattoos and long hair and earrings everywhere. I appreciate people can be young, but this is their sacred place. Make them feel comfortable. People don't employ companies to work in their home. It's not about the money, it's about the person. They will never have somebody in their home again that they feel uncomfortable with. Make yourself comfortable, make yourself likable. Submit under that person's rules. It's their home, it's their place. Do the things that make them feel comfortable. Make yourself respectable. Dress well. Be well branded, presented, so that they feel like, okay, this guy's safe to come into my sacred space. You need to remember that. It's very important. Make sure you do the same thing. Give the same level of service each time, because you become predictable. People like predictability. Don't one time come to their house, you do an amazing job, the next time you do a rubbish job, they're not going to call you again. Make them know every time they call you, you're coming on time, you're doing a great job, you're going to be very respectful. If you're working in the lounge, you don't want to come home and find them, you looking in the bedroom, looking at all their stuff. Don't do that. God is watching everything you do. Customers watching everything you do. Make them feel comfortable if you're working in their home. The service business is not just about money, it's about trust and it's about credibility. Do integrity, take the high road every single time. Sow your losses as seeds. Sometimes, if a situation pops up and you have to refund a customer or you have to go and do the work again, it's better to go and do the work again or refund the customer, make them feel like they got a great deal rather than them bad-mouthing you to 20 people. It's, your reputation is worth more than a couple of £100 or a couple of pounds. Often it's like, it'll be something they're not quite happy with. Just make them happy, man. It's like, obviously, if they're a repeat offender and they keep coming back, then it's not you, it's them. That's different, But if a customer, you do some work for a customer and they're not happy, so, well, that's the way we do it, because you'll never succeed. So, hey, actually, that's not okay. I'm coming back. I can't come tomorrow. I've got an appointment. I'll be back the next day. I'm going to be there for 2 hours. I'll fix it until you're happy. And you know what? Then I'm not charging you for any of the time, but I'll also give you 10% off your next bill or 50% off your next bill or part refund or whatever. The customer's not always right, but make them happy. That's part of our role. The more we do that, the more business they're going to get. Often it's customers and businesses that have gone the extra mile when things went wrong that people talk about. They say like, "Jeez, this guy came, you're an absolute mess of it. But you know what? They came back and they fixed it so well, and I'm so happy now. If I know now next time they take on a bigger job, these guys will fix their mistakes. Cool, I'll employ them for a bigger job and I'll tell all my mates, Do referrals, do Google reviews if you're starting a business. One of those things, like, reviews are everything, man. Online, people search online nowadays. Do reviews. Get them to write a review. Offer them money off if they do your review for you. Your review would be far more important than anything you get, So if you start a service business in particular, Google Places, get onto Google Places, write reviews. You'll beat most of your competition. If you're doing a content business, then 80 to 90% of your stuff needs to be for free and 10% paid for. You know, you need to give far more value than you charge for. You know, people need to feel like they're getting a great deal. So in other words, don't keep pushing, I've got this, I got this, I got this, buy this, buy this, buy this. Give, and then 10% of the time say, actually guys, I've got a book, do this or whatever. Then one of the things I've got here, do the thing that is profitable, not necessarily the sexy thing you like. You know, in business, it's quite cool to be challenged, and we want to do stuff, and we want to do stuff we don't know, because it provides us with a challenge. But do the thing that's profitable. You know, if you analyze your business and say, okay, of all the things we do, these are the 10 things we do. These are the 2 things that make us the most money. Become a specialist in the 2 things that make you the most money, and do the things that challenge you on the weekend, in your own time. You want to run a business that's profitable. The worst thing you can do is consistently be challenged. You thrive on the challenge, but you lose money because you don't do it enough. You don't do it quickly, efficiently. You've missed the timing of it. You've missed the pricing of it. Don't do that. Do what you do, rinse and repeat. You know, do create systems. You know, it's hard for guys like me to create a system because we're not system orientated. We're not detail orientated. But it's critical to create a system in your business that you don't need to be there, that anyone who walks in, the businesses that have succeeded and become great franchises and have expanded are system businesses. It's based on a system. Anybody can come in off the street and they can do this business every time because there's a system. They read, this is how we do the McDonald's thing. It's the same anywhere you go. It's a system. Do remember that interruption marketing is much harder than targeted marketing. Now, what do I mean by that? Say you want to take Facebook ads. Facebook ads essentially are interruption marketing. Somebody's looking at Facebook and they're scrolling and suddenly your ad is there. You're interrupting what they're doing. They weren't looking for your business. You interrupted them. Now, research has shown that it takes generally 7 points of contact before somebody makes a sale. So they need to interact with you 7 times before they'd spend any money with you. So that just shows you that you're going to have to advertise to them 7 times, essentially, and they're going to have to click through before they realistically spend with you. It's much better to use like a Google AdWord, where somebody is physically looking for your product or service, than interruption marketing. You know, the flyers and stuff work, but the search volume and the return is tiny. You know, 1 to 3% return on your flyers is good. For every 100 you put out, you might get 1 call, maybe. That's excellent because it's interruption. They weren't looking for you. Rather do through referrals and stuff like that. You work on, spend your money on getting your customers, existing customers, to refer you than spending your money on Facebook ads. Or put it in Google ads where people are actually looking. Oh, I'm looking for a painter. I'm looking for a gardener. Put it there. And that's way better money. Do branding. You know, it's cheap and easy. You know, one of the things about branding is like nowadays with the internet, you know, it's so cheap. If you have a service business, have shirts, have invoice books, have a website, have emails that go to the website email. Everything points to the same thing. The branding is all the same. You know, a newsletter, get customers to sign up to a newsletter. They may not even read it, but every month it comes into their inbox and they remember your brand, they remember your name. One of the biggest problems that we found before was that like customers used you, but they forgot what you were called. And so they can't think of the business name to find you anymore. But if you sent them a newsletter or whatever, they just call up on the emails, whatever, handyman newsletter, and there's your brand pops up. They're like, oh, those are the guys we use for that, you know. The other things I kind of touched on, do the same service every time. And then I've got here how to create money to start a business. Well, one of the ways to create money to start a business is get a job. You know, work for a job, save some money, start your business like that. Cut out that everything is not vital, so no Starbucks, all that sort of stuff. Try and save money. And also work out what a minimum viable product is. You know, what is the minimum that you can do in order to start this business. You know, you don't need the biggest truck or the biggest website or the best thing. What is the absolute minimum that could get this business off the ground? Do that. Start there, see how it works, and build from there. Don't just get the best thing, okay? Stop buying depreciating assets like cars, phones, all that kind of stuff. You don't need the best phone in the world. Get the phone that's 2 years old that somebody else has paid the depreciation on. If a phone costs £1,000 and 2 years later costs £100, buy it when let somebody else lose £900 in 2 years. That's the problem why people are not becoming wealthy and they're not able to get out of the trap that they're in, is because they keep buying depreciating assets. They keep buying the newest car, the newest house, the newest phone, and it has massive depreciation, and they lose all their money on it. Let somebody else lose the money and buy the £1,000 phone for $100 2 years later, and let somebody else lose 900. Take the 900 you made and invest it into something that makes you money, not that loses you money. Ask God for wisdom on how to multiply stuff. Sell stuff on eBay. You know, I buy stuff on eBay and I sell it back on eBay and make a profit. I buy stuff where people auction stuff off and then I sell it on a buy it now. So I literally buy stuff off eBay that somebody auctioned. You can see the sold prices on eBay. You can see what on average these things are selling for. You get what's called sniper software. You can set a snipe at the price you want to pay. You will get 1 out of 10 at that price. You buy it from eBay, you get it in your house, you put it back on eBay on a buy it now, and you make 50% profit. You know, there are tons of ways to do stuff. I do it all the time. It's much easier than you think. When you have enough, start on the side and grow it until it can go into a full-time thing. And then the next sort of little session I'll do is just specific to the UK, so I'll probably stop it here. And those are just some things, do's and don'ts of business and what to do and don't do. I hope I haven't bored you too much, and some of it's given you value. All right, guys, keep well.